welcome to the Moonflower Path YouTube channel. My name is Carolyn. If it's your first time here, welcome. So lovely to have you here. And if you are a past Yoga with Carolyn community member, then welcome to this next chapter, my friend. Today's practice is your slow entry into a spring morning. So if you are watching this live as it's coming out, this practice is coming out on the spring equinox, but really this practice is hopefully meant to serve you and support you as the spring season moves through, because this season absolutely is an invitation for the doing and the creating of the dreams that you might have explored and might have felt the tingly sensations of during the winter season. However, this season can also usher in a sense of urgency, this pressure and expectations of urgency that just isn't true. There is no deadline on creating and walking towards your desires. This is your life. And so this practice is meant to start your day off with slowness, reminding you of your agency in your own life, your permission to do what feels right, to take your time, to pause as much as you need to check in with yourself, to tend to your body, and that you are creating your own life at your own pace on your own terms. So that is what this practice is meant to help and support and remind you of. Before we get into today's practice, today is an exciting day in the Moonflower Path community. The website, themoonflowerpath.com, is now live and open for your exploration. Why would you visit the website? Well, because the Moonflower Path community space will be opening in April 17th. So between now and then, the invitation is to peruse the new community space, explore all the magical ways that you will find support along your self-care journey, and put your name on the wait list. When the doors open on April 17th, there is going to be special exclusive founding member pricing, and I would really love for you to get that announcement as soon as it comes out on April 17th. So if you are looking for more support along your self-care journey, if you are looking to be supported as a highly sensitive, creative, earth-loving soul, if you are looking for an opportunity to tune into yourself, to come home to yourself in order to be able to show up in your life fully, authentically, and really bring your magical gifts to the world, then the Moonflower Path is your space where you will find that support. So check out the website, moonflowerpath.com, and let's get into our practice today. Slow start to your spring morning. I would say that if I can start my morning slowly, is always the way I would like to start my day, especially moving through a kind of quick and boisterous spring. So I hope that you're wearing your comfy clothes like I am. I'm wearing my floral sweatpants. And just so you know, this practice is very intentionally constructed where you have a lot of space, a lot of permission, and a lot of agency. This is a signature The Moonflower Path practice. This is a beautiful blend between finding movement and stillness, and that at many times during the practice, I'm going to remind you of the fact that this is your practice. That if you end up coming back to this practice morning after morning, that you could do something different every single class. I'm going to give you some rough blueprints, some rough, not rough as in hard, but rough as in vague, but gently guided sequences where you have a lot of agency for you to really support your body as it would like or need to be supported this spring morning. So you are going to make your way onto your back, please. as you land on your back right off the bat, you get to support your body as you would like or need to here. So you might want to start with the legs long and straight. You might want to start with the legs bent, soles of the feet on the floor, knees slightly come in towards each other. Or maybe you want a little bit of a hip opener at the very beginning of the practice. Soles of the feet can come together, the knees open wide. Hands can be connected to your body if that would feel helpful and grounding. You can have arms by your sides with the palms open towards the sky, or even your arms up overhead. So right away, how have you landed? How is your body feeling? And how might you choose the way that you position yourself in your practice to support how your body is feeling? If it feels okay to do so, the invitation would be to close the eyes. But if it doesn't feel supportive to do so, keep the eyes open, but invite some softness to the gaze. Just land here. Letting these first few moments of your practice be just a moment of stillness, a moment of checking in, of tuning in. How's your body feeling as you've woken up today? What are your energy levels like? What's present in the mind? What's being felt in the heart? This centering check-in process at the beginning of your practice is done with compassionate, non-judgmental awareness. You don't need to change or fix or adjust or get rid of anything that is present. We start with becoming aware. And then we see what can be explored, what can be navigated, what can be learned from the practice. Bringing your attention to your breath. Notice where you're breathing in your body. You're breathing more in your stomach and your ribs and your chest. Is your breath making a sound, or is it feeling a bit more quiet today? And then we remind ourselves of our permission to take our time through your breath. As you take your next inhale, fill the belly with breath. Expand, take up space. As you exhale, let it go out the nose slowly. And again, inhale, filling your body up with energy, prana, life. Slow exhale out the nose. Feel as the belly lets go, collapses. Continue with that, finding your own rhythm of slow inhales and slow exhales. So this right here, this is your foundation. If you were to just lay here for the entirety of the practice and breathe, that would be perfect. But if today you feel like you'd like to explore, then we'll enter into our first sequence. So from where you are, begin to just invite some movement into the body if that would feel good. You can also stay still if you want to. So I'm a very firm believer that through tending to your body, through tending to your intuitive body, through nurturing your relationship with your emotions, with your sensitivities, that it creates space for your creativity to blossom. And we do that here within the context of your practice, through these moments within the practice where you have full space to do whatever feels good. There's no need to overcomplicate it. It can be really simple, but you let the sensations in your body guide where you move. So you might move just in the fingers or the toes or the head, or you might move in the arms, the legs. Maybe it's just like gentle rocks or sways or big stretches or hugging the knees in. And it will look different from moment to moment, practice to practice. So what does today's spring morning in your body ask for? You'll come back into stillness if you are moving, and we'll meet with the legs bent, the soles of the feet on the floor. So with the doing and the creating that the spring is here inviting you to do, right? We see it in the blossoming flowers and the bursting of life in the forests. And so we're invited here to do the same. So that is very solar plexus, sacral chakra energy, right? Creativity, confidence. And so we're going to move through some postures that will tend to those areas. So from here, you're landing the soles of the feet on the floor, legs are bent, and you're going to have your hands placed on your low belly. As you take your next inhale, fill the belly. Lift the low back away from the floor, like as if you're trying to reach your tailbone down towards the ground. There's a lengthening that happens in the front line of the body. And then as you exhale, scoop the tailbone under and press the low back in towards the floor. Maintain that connection, that engagement happening in the front of your hip flexors. And as you take your next inhale, press into the feet to just lift the hips up like an inch or two. No like big crazy bridge pose here, just a slight lift of the pelvis. And then as you exhale, you bring the pelvis back down towards the floor. Maintain that tuck of the pelvis, so that's scooping under. You take one round of breath here. And then release entirely. Just let your low back soften, your pelvis come back into neutral. So I'm going to guide you through a few more of those. So again, take an inhale, fill up the belly, lift the low back away from the floor, like as if you were trying to press your tailbone towards the ground. Exhale, scoop the tailbone under, engaging the front of your low belly. Inhale, press into the feet. You maintain that tuck of the pelvis for this lifting up of the hips. Just it's slight, it's slow, it's low. And then exhale, come back down towards the floor. Maintain that tuck of the pelvis. Take one round of breath here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, release. Exhale, settle into the floor a bit more. And then again, inhale. Expand the belly, lift low back away from floor, like as if you're trying to press your tailbone down. So there's a shortening of the back line, lengthening of the front line of the torso. Exhale as you tuck the tailbone under such that you're like scooping your tailbone, shortening front line of torso, lengthening back line of torso. Maintain that tuck of the pelvis, press into the feet, lift the hips up slightly. Exhale, maintain the tuck of the pelvis, bring your body back down to the floor. One round of breath, inhale here. Exhale here. And release. One round of breath in neutral. Okay, so I'm going to let you explore that for maybe about 2 more rounds. And so this is your time. So if you want to linger in any one of these postures because you're like, ooh, this feels interesting, I want to stay here, I want to find stillness, then amazing. Honor that. If you want to keep moving, then keep moving. We move slow, we take our time, we breathe deep to create this really beautiful container within which you can actually listen to what you want to do, what your body's needs are based off of what you feel. And then the next time your body lands on the floor and you finish that one round that you're in, you come back into neutral and you take a moment to pause, to feel, to be. And then before we shift from the movement into the stillness, you might be desiring a specific movement to help release that last little exploration. So that might look like knees falling from side to side, or big stretch in the body, or hugging knees in towards chest, or doing nothing at all and just being still. And then we're going to come into supported bridge for our moment of stillness. So grabbing hold of your bolster or your block, you press into the soles of the feet to lift the body up. Slide your bolster or your block underneath of your body, and then settling the pelvis, the sacrum, onto your bolster or your block. You can keep the arms by your side, or you can connect the palms of the hands onto the low belly. Just allow the soles of the feet to stay connected to the earth. And if the stillness doesn't feel supportive, it doesn't feel like it falls in line with what you feel like you need today, then you can find movement. You don't have to remain absolutely still. I don't know what you are experiencing in your body. You do. I can give you the rough map, the sequence within which I'm like, oh, I think maybe this would be supportive to start your slow start to your spring morning. But I mean, you know best. So if today you're feeling like you want to move, then you might bring the knees in towards the chest, and you might just move the knees around and explore. This is, again, an opportunity for your creativity to flow through. You can also just remain still to help balance out the movement. So there's no one right way to do this. Come back to those slow, deep breaths that you found at the very beginning of the practice. Wherever you are, if you were finding some movement for the past couple of minutes, you'll connect the soles of the feet to the floor. Press into the feet to lift the body up away from that prop. Bring your body back down towards the floor. And again, take a moment here. What would feel good? What would feel best? We're going to shift from our first sequence to enter into the second exploration. So you'll transition from being on your back to come into tabletop position. So you can do that by rolling onto the side of the body. You can do that by rocking and rolling along the length of your spine. But remembering that this practice is a reminder of using the practice of slowing down to remind you of your agency, that you can listen to this is actually how I want to move. I don't need to move quickly. I don't need to do the most efforting, most young energy way of doing it. I can flop around on my mat. I can take my time. And this is still yoga. This is still my practice. This is my time, nobody else's. Heck, sometimes when I'm in a practice, I'm in a YouTube, I practice a YouTube yoga video. I pause the video and I'm like, all right, we're going too quick here. I wanted to hang out in this posture for a little while longer. Or I rush through the stuff that I don't want to do. Who cares? Who cares? Once you make your way into your tabletop position, let's just find a little bit of more kind of free-flowing organic movement that would feel right. So spread the fingers wide, heels of the palms of the hands are underneath of your shoulders, just creating that solid foundation for your movement. And then you can take a few rounds of cat and cow pose. You could find some skipping rope movements in the spine. Or not standing up in today's practice. This is a very gentle practice, but if your body's calling for a downward facing dog, now might be a really nice time. And then here we go. So next sequence. Send yourself back into a child's pose. If your forehead doesn't comfortably meet with the floor, we really do want to ensure that your sit bones are touching your heels. So if that's not the case, with your forehead touching the floor, raise the floor up. That might be one block, a couple blocks, whatever is going to be the most supportive for you. And your child's pose is going to be such that your knees are kind of in line with your hips. Might be a bit wider, but you're going to want to have that alignment because we're going to be standing up on your knees here. So from here, you're going to press into the shins, into the knees, into the tops of your feet to bring yourself upright. Keep going with the arms, so palms are facing each other. So this is really symbolic of this roots pushing out of the ground as you reach up towards the sun. Rise, rise, rise. Exhale as you bend the elbows, pull the elbows back and down. Hands will then meet onto your low back, fingertips pointing towards the floor. Pull the elbows back here. A little bit of a supported back bend. Inhale as you allow the heart to shine, imagining that you're just sunbathing with the spring sun. And then exhale as you slide the palms of the hands down the sides of your legs and you come back into your child's pose. That's it, lovely. That's your sequence. I'm going to guide you through in one more, then I'm going to let you flow. Inhale, press into the shins, into the tops of the feet. You can feel your fingertips grazing on the floor here, and then you keep going. Rise up, reaching up towards the sun. Good morning, sun. Exhale, bend into elbows. Open that heart, that lovely heart space of yours as it soaks in the sun. Inhale, keep going with that back bend, maybe a hint of a smile on your face. Exhale as you come back towards the earth, back towards the ground. And then play with that for a few more rounds. So again, you can find a lot more stillness within this sequence. Find a posture that feels right. Find some stillness within it. Or you can riff off of what I've offered if you enjoy the heart opener and you just want to like, ooh, reach up, twist, just explore in the arms, you can. If you really love the back bend and you want to take an extra couple breaths there, do that. Or maybe the simplicity and the guidance that I've offered you within the context of this sequence is feeling super supportive for you, where you don't really have to think too much. Then stay with that. Let's keep rising, my loves. Then our posture that we're going to use to balance out the movement is child's pose. The invitation is to now settle into a child's pose the next time you land on the floor, and we'll hang out there for a couple of minutes. So now you might want to find a much more supported, kind of cozier version of the posture, which you could do with keeping your block there, grabbing another block, placing it under your heart, widening the knees. You could also use a bolster. This is always going to be my favorite version. You can place a block towards the top end of your bolster, and then you've got this space to hug the bolster, making it just a lot cozier. Bring one cheek down, cozy in, settle in. Let this posture be a nice counter stretch for the low back, a releasing for the low back, releasing for the upper back, right? The whole spine just went through like a lot of movement in that last sequence. So supported, softened. If the stillness doesn't feel supportive, you could find a gentle rock from right to left within your child's pose, or sometimes it feels nice to come into a little bit of like cat-cow within child's pose. So what feels right for you today on this slow spring morning? A reminder that you have permission, you have agency to move through the days, to live in your body, to be in your body as you would like. Sliding the hands underneath the shoulders, you'll press yourself up. Move whatever props you were using out of the way. You're still going to want your bolster for our next sequence, or your blocks, depending on what you have, or maybe you just have pillows or blankets, whatever works. And once you bring yourself up, take a little bit of movement here. Your legs have been bent for quite some time, so you can move through straightening the legs a few times, or coming into a down dog, or you can come into seated with the legs straight. That is where we're headed eventually. Okay, so last exploration. So from here, you are going to find a bend in both of your legs so that you've got your right leg is out towards the side and your left leg is in front of you, and you've got a generous bend in both of the legs going on. And you've got either the foot connected to the knee, or you could have it such that your knee is a bit more supported by the foot. And if you feel like you're kind of falling over towards the left a little bit, like your right glute is quite lifted up away from the floor, then maybe place like a pillow or a blanket, or just adjust accordingly here so that you can really feel like you are supported by the earth. And then let's get a little circular here with the movement. So it'll probably feel helpful for you to close your eyes. And so if that feels okay, bring your eyes to a close here. Let your hands land wherever they want to land, on the lap, the knees, whatever. And then we start with just some circular movements, very directed in the pelvis. So start to circle. It's almost required that the movements are slow here, just to make sure that the low back feels okay, that the knee feels okay. Because you'll notice that at some points where your pelvis is in like one spot, might feel a bit more tender in the knee than in other spots. So slow it down. Let those slow breaths that you found at the beginning of the practice really guide you here. And then letting the movements become a little bit bigger. It comes into the shoulders, into the head, and at this point you might even want to bring your hands onto your knees just for added support. So there's like this churning of energy, very similar to this like churning of creative energy happening in the natural world, that like oomph that is required in the plants pushing through the hard earth, the leaves coming out of the hardened bark on all of the tree branch tips. You might even let your arms become part of this here. There's like an exploration, stretching in the shoulders. And the thing that I love about this, and that you're doing this here with me, is that like you're alone. It's your morning, it's your space. And if this feels like, ooh, like a little sensual, like a little like, oh, then you're alone. Who cares? Let it feel good. Let it feel fun. Let it feel exploratory. You might, just stretch into the arms. Or maybe it still stays pretty small. Then you'll bring the movement to a pause. And then let's find just one more movement, then we'll shift into stillness. So bringing the left hand onto the floor, keep the right hand down just on the lap or the hip or whatever. And we're going to be moving through some twists. So as you take an inhale, you're going to twist towards the left. The right hip comes up away from the floor. And then exhale, release that. Bring yourself back forward. Just a few more times like that. Moving from the center of your body. And then this movement is the foundation for our posture and stillness. So the shape you're coming into next is twisted deer. So if you have a prop underneath of your sit bone, then you won't need that. And then definitely widen the positioning of the legs here. So this is a twist as well as a hip opener. So find a 90-degree angle in both your legs, flex into your ankles, your feet. If you have a bolster or a couple of blocks, that'll be helpful to raise the floor up, and you place it along the left side of the body, kind of shooting out from your hip. Same movement that you just did. So twist towards the left, right hip comes up away from the floor. Maintain that length in the body, and then you walk the hands away from your body to bring yourself down onto your supports. Once you come down towards the floor, you can shift the right leg a little bit further back, or the right leg a little bit further back if that feels good. And we'll be here for about a minute within the stillness. But if the stillness doesn't feel supportive, find some movement. I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but you are constantly bombarded by messaging that you are not allowed to do what you want, and that you don't know what's right, and you don't know what's best, and you don't have agency, and you don't have permission to do your own thing, and the way that you naturally are is not accepted and not welcome, and that's all total bullshit. So my job is to remind you of how untrue all of that is, and that you do have permission. There are no shoulds. You are your best guide. Your body does know. Your body does deserve to be tended to and listened to and honored. And that we start with just the simplicity of, ooh, do I want to move? Or do I want to find stillness? And then it blossoms out from there. Connecting the hands to the floor, you'll bring yourself up back to seated. Extend the legs in front of you. Take a moment here just to receive and release that last posture, however you would like to. And then let's find the movement and the stillness on the other side. So you'll swing the legs over now towards the left. And if you had a prop underneath of your sit bone on the other side, you might do that here on this side. Legs are close here, so connecting foot either to knee or even knee on top of the foot. Close the eyes, you know what's coming next. And then we move. So start with just the pelvis. Circular, exploratory movement in the pelvis. And then let it become a little bit bigger. Shoulders, head can become part of the movement. Arms can then become part of it. Just explore. Explore the sensations in your low back. Explore what your branches, your leaves, your petals want to do here as they get ready to blossom and open and rise towards the sun. and bringing that movement back into stillness. And then let's just explore that gentle twisting towards the side before we settle into stillness. I keep kind of moving my legs around here, so that's your reminder that you can adjust the legs as often as you need to here. Bringing the right hand on the floor, and the left hand just settles wherever it wants to on the leg, and take a couple of those twists, lifting the left hip away from the floor, coming back forward. And then getting ready for your last posture in stillness here. So placing your bolster or your blocks or your pillow off towards the side, finding a lot more space in between the legs here. So legs are in 90-degree angles, shins are parallel to the front and the side of your space. And then twist, find that length, fingertips connected to floor to really maintain that length. And then walk yourself away from the body as you bring yourself down onto your prop. Pressing into the floor, bringing yourself up, releasing out of that posture. And then we just find a few moments of stillness, coming into a gentle shavasana here for the last few minutes of your practice, so that you can end on a slow, gentle note. I love a good bolster under my knees, so make it as comfy, as cozy as you'd like. Lay your body on the ground. Feel the support of the earth, Mama Earth, supporting you, nourishing you. As you also take a moment to cultivate gratitude for her, for all that the earth provides us. Spring is really, really the start of Mother Earth's total creative masterpiece. And so we celebrate her. And as you settle into stillness here, supported, let this moment of your practice, moment of your day, this pocket of time in your morning before you go on with the rest of your day, to be a time to do nothing. Nobody's asking you to do anything. Nothing you have to check off the to-do list. This is your time to simply be. Slowly bringing your awareness back into the body, bringing some gentle movement into fingers and toes, wrists and ankles. Head rocks from side to side. Take a big inhale to stretch the arms up overhead, stretching from fingertips all the way down into toes, and then knees come in towards chest, hugging them in. Rocking from side to side to bring yourself onto the right side of the body, and then pressing yourself up into your seat. Meeting in your seat with hands in prayer, and the head slightly bowed. As you take a moment here to come back to that reminder, you have full permission to move through your days, to move in your body as you would like. This is your life, lovely. This is your spring season, and you can move through it however it is that you want to. Take your time, there's no rush. You got this. Let's take one last breath together, you and I. Inhale. Out the mouth, let it go. I honor you for your commitment to your practice and to your body, and thank you so very much for sharing that practice with me. Thank you, lovely. Thank you for joining me in this slow entry into your spring morning. If you aren't a subscriber to this channel, please subscribe, please like this video, and comment below if you enjoyed it or share it with a friend. A reminder that the Moonflower Path website is now open. The waitlist is now open for the upcoming new community space. Get your name on the waitlist so you can get access to the founding member pricing when it comes out, so that you can be a founding Moonflower member. Have a wonderful spring day, and I will see you again soon.